So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. So check this out, man. I know y'all been seeing all the craziness that's been happening in the news, whether it be the banks, the stuff going on with Trump, everything going on in the news right now is crazy. So I know, just like me, you need to get your mind off of things, and I got you. So we're gonna check out this video, man, of what scientists just discovered at the Grand Canyon, which terrifies the whole world. We love great and new discoveries. So we're gonna get into this video. If you new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and join the family. Let's check this out.
Every year, experts from around the globe discover something new about the world we live in and our past. We've come a long way in unraveling the secrets of past civilizations and the universe that we live in, but there are still a lot of things to find out. From a tomb full of treasure to ancient snacks and animal bones, here are the 15 strangest things recently discovered. Number 15. Tomb full of treasure. In the 19th century, Napoleon's Egyptian campaign sparked the public's interest in Egypt. Archaeologists and scholars gathered in Egypt to learn more about their literature, culture, art, religion, and more. But if there was one thing that caught the entire world's attention, it was the past civilization of ancient Egypt. Europe was swept off its feet by the enchanting artifacts left behind by the past civilization. Excavations began in ancient Egypt, and when the tomb of Tutankhamun was finally revealed to the rest of the world, it became a sensational find. To this day, many expect ancient tombs and graveyards to be filled with treasure and jewelry. But that's not always the case in other places in the world.
Nope.
For this reason, many were incredibly surprised by the discovery made by archaeologists in Romania. While excavating a site near the Baharia commune in Bihor County, the team stumbled upon an unexpected find. A treasure trove that dated back to the Copper Age. They discovered 169 gold rings, about 800 mother-of-pearl beads, and a stunning copper bracelet. The treasures were discovered in an ancient tomb that dated back to approximately 4,500 BC.
Sheesh.
It was an incredibly rare find, and the massive cache intrigued historians and archaeologists. Who did the tomb belong to? How powerful a person were they that they managed to collect an insane stash of treasure at a time when hordes of precious jewelry were rarely kept in Central and Eastern Europe? Archaeologists believe that the tomb belonged to an
That makes it even more rare, bro. I dug up the planet at that point.
Extremely wealthy woman. This theory was based on the size of the skeleton and the lack of weapons in the tomb. The numerous rings might have also been used to decorate the woman's hair as she was laid to rest for eternity. With this discovery, archaeologists are hoping that there are more unique graves scattered across the continent.
I know they are.
Before we go on, like this video, smash the
are.
subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 14. NASA successfully moved an asteroid. Millions of asteroids are scattered all across our solar system. These rocks are remnants of the creation of the Sun billions of years ago. Today, asteroids in different shapes and sizes orbit the Sun. Now, you might not have heard of this, but NASA did something incredible in 2022. In 2022, NASA sent a 1,260-pound spacecraft into outer space. Traveling at the incredibly swift speed of 14,000 miles per hour, the spacecraft hit a small asteroid known as Dimorphos. And by small, I mean 525 feet wide. That's comparable to a 50-story building lying horizontally. This collision wasn't an accident. It was something NASA intended to do. For the first time ever, they tried to change the trajectory of an asteroid. And guess what? They succeeded. But what exactly was the purpose of this mission? Why did NASA send the spacecraft into the universe just to deliberately make them crash? Well, we all know how dinosaurs ceased to exist. It's not really impossible for another disaster to happen. For now, we're only able to change the trajectory of smaller asteroids. And trust me, there are bigger asteroids out there. But there is hope that we will avoid a potential threat in the future. Number 13.
I still don't think people understand how huge that was. You know what I'm saying? To be able to knock that off its course.
Webb telescope reveals invisible universe. Since we're already on the topic of space exploration, let me tell you about another astounding discovery NASA announced recently. The James Webb Space Telescope was utilized by NASA in 2021 to study the earliest stars in our universe and to get a glimpse of our past. We've seen amazing space discoveries thanks to NASA's older tools. But the James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST, unveiled something that we've never seen before. The tool was powerful enough to reveal a breathtaking pair of merging galaxies about 270 million light-years away from our planet. It was astounding how the telescope captured the two galaxies right when they were about to form a supermassive black hole. Black holes are voids in the universe where the gravitational force is so incredibly strong that even light is unable to escape. With this new discovery, JWST might be able to pave the way for humans to unlock the secrets of the universe. We might not be able to answer all the mysteries of mankind, but we will uncover enough to know our place in the vast universe. Number 12. Rocket junk on the moon. Did you know that there's some questionable stuff up there on the moon? I'm not talking about the many flags up there, but rather something more strange. Like, for instance, a 3-ton piece of rocket. In 2022, scientists claimed that a piece of rocket junk that they have been trying to track for years somehow ended up on one side of the lunar surface. Its origin, however, is unknown. Initially, astronomers thought that the rocket was part of Elon Musk's SpaceX program.
And you know, people have been talking about secret missions that have been happening going to the moon, right? So now it's just so happened to find some rocket junk, huh? Well, okay.
Then several believe that it came from China, but this is something the country denied. We still don't know where the rocket junk came from, but one thing is for sure, it'll stay on the moon for quite some time. We still don't know if it'll affect the lunar surface, but hopefully it won't have any big impact on Earth. Scientists are also trying to find a way to recover the rocket from the moon's surface. It might take a long time before scientists manage to trace the origin of the rocket. After all, it's incredibly messy to try and figure out where space junk came from if there's no visible insignia on the part. Number 11. There's a black hole in the heart of our galaxy. Most people tremble when they hear about black holes. In mainstream media, black holes are usually portrayed as massive voids that can suck anything into nothingness. Black holes are usually featured in dystopian and apocalyptic stories, but the way they're described is often exaggerated. While it's true that black holes are voids in the universe, they're not really something that appears out of nowhere to destroy several planets at a time. In reality, black holes are actually areas in the universe where a massive amount of matter, 10 times bigger than our solar system's sun, is squeezed into. Just imagine the universe as a sheet, and you place an incredibly heavy ball in the middle. This object is massive enough that it can bend space and ensure that anything that comes across it will never surface again. Now, before I tell you more about the black hole at the heart of the Milky Way, there's really nothing you should worry about, at least for now. In 2022, we managed to capture a photo of the black hole in the middle of our galaxy. How cool is that? This is an incredibly hard feat to accomplish because, as I've mentioned, light shouldn't be able to escape these dense voids. They're practically invisible. Before researchers managed to obtain a single photo, hundreds of people needed to collaborate together. This goes to show just how important and significant a single photo of a black hole is. Number 10. Mysterious handprint. Earlier this year, archaeologists were baffled by the discovery of a mysterious carved handprint in Jerusalem. The handprint was discovered by workers of an infrastructure project on Sultan Suleiman Street. It was carved into a dry moat that once surrounded the vicinity of the old city about 1,000 years ago.
Now, that looks pretty big. The handprint looks pretty big, right? So that'll probably go back to stories about giants once roaming the earth.
During its prime, the structure was about 30 feet deep and about 22 feet wide. It was meant to prevent invaders from infiltrating the old city's walls, and none of the locals dared to linger around it. Unlike moats across Europe, the one that once surrounded the old city was dry and not filled with water. However, it was enough to deter invaders. After all, there was no point in trying to climb up the formidable complex. If they somehow managed to do so, they would be significantly delayed. Their decreased speed would be enough to get them noticed by the guards on standby. If invaders were seen trying to get across, people inside the city would hurl stones and other objects at them. And so, the origin of the handprint is considered to be a mystery to this day. Where did the handprint come from? Could it be something left behind in an accident? Perhaps someone fleeing from danger an entire millennia ago left behind the handprint. However, there's also a chance that it was simply made by a local many years ago. Perhaps...
Never mind. When he put his hand in there, I saw how big it wasn't compared to his hand. That don't look like a giant handprint. From afar, though, it kind of looked pretty big, but when he did his comparison, I'm like, oh, man, well, maybe not.
This handprint will forever be shrouded in mystery. Number 9. 5,000-year-old whale skeleton. About 7.5 miles inland of Samut Sakhon, west of Bangkok, Thailand, experts stumbled upon a surprising discovery. Near the water were the perfectly preserved remains of a marine creature. It was astounding that more than half of the creature's body remained intact. Overall, the remains measured almost 40 feet long. It has about 19 vertebrae, 5 ribs, a shoulder blade, and fins. The locals were incredibly horrified to discover the remains of the unknown creature. After all, its remains looked like something out of a nightmare. But after careful analysis, experts revealed that the remains belonged to a bride's whale. What's more astounding is the fact that the creature lived between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago. Bride's whales are creatures that are blue-gray in color. They're often intimidating because of the many scars covering their bodies, which are caused by parasites and cookie-cutter sharks that repeatedly try to bite them. Today, their numbers are slowly dwindling, and they prefer to stay about 50 feet beneath the ocean's surface. This species is among the few that thrive in warm waters. For this reason, they're also known as tropical whales, as they like staying in areas of the ocean where temperatures are 15 degrees Celsius or higher. Number 8. The Bedlam Burial Ground of East London. You've most likely heard of the word Bedlam. In the past, this term was used to describe an institution meant to care for the mentally ill. To this day, this word continues to remind people of the tragic things people with mental diseases had to endure throughout the history of mankind. Thousands of skeletons were discovered in a construction zone at Liverpool Street Station. What's tragic is the fact that they were people who were buried in what was once known as the Bedlam Burial Ground. All of them perished from 1569 to 1738. At the time, Bedlam, formerly known as Bethlehem in the New Churchyard, was a site where more than 20,000 Londoners were buried. Many of these people were mentally ill and couldn't afford a church burial. By 1737, the burial site was already filled to the brim. It wasn't long until residents of Broad Street buildings petitioned to halt the use of the site as a burial ground. Experts claimed that they would like to examine the remains in the area to obtain a sample of the bacteria that caused the bubonic plague. I just hope that they don't accidentally unleash the deadly disease. Number 7. 180-million-year-old fossil. In January 2022, experts unearthed a massive fossil of a sea dragon in the United Kingdom. With its dolphin-like head and its shark-like body, this sea dragon roamed the oceans of our planet about 200 million years ago. This so-called sea dragon is actually an ichthyosaur, which roughly translates to fish lizard in ancient Greek. If you ask me, scientists gave these guys an incredibly fitting name. These creatures thrived during the Mesozoic era, but many of them disappeared 90 million years ago. In the early Triassic epoch, these creatures evolved into other creatures to adapt to the changing planet. The remains of the monster discovered beneath a nature reserve in England measured a staggering 33 feet. Just imagine if these carnivores were still alive today. Number 6.
It'd be bad.
Troll under the bridge. For people living in
I think this is one of the craziest things that somebody has ever created and done, man. You know what I mean? And I'm so glad that I saw it on video first, because imagine not seeing this and knowing about it and then coming across it just randomly out of the blue. Man, it might give you a heart attack, bro, depending on the time of day.
Washington, this might not be something new. Recently, this attraction garnered the attention of people on the internet. Not a lot of people know about it, and its inconspicuous location might be one of the things to blame.
I've
Beneath
seen it
George
before.
Washington Memorial Bridge in Seattle, Washington, is a massive 18-foot-tall troll made of concrete. One of its eyes isn't visible anymore, and in one of its hands is a vintage Volkswagen car. This troll has been in the area since 1990. It was sculpted by Steve Badanis and 2 architecture students, Will Martin and Ross Whitehead. You probably think this troll looks a bit gnarly, and it's most likely because it's been the subject of vandalism for the past few decades. After all, who would be able to resist spray painting a massive troll? Fortunately, it was easy to cover up the layers of paint by dumping a batch of concrete onto its surface. But because of this constant cover-up, the troll has pretty much lost its original form. Number 5. 2,000-year-old middle-class home. Although it's less noticeable and important today, social class is something that will continue to exist. In ancient Rome, there was a social hierarchy with clear divisions. This order was meant to separate the elite from those in the lower class. Families and individuals were ranked differently based on their wealth and their jobs. Slaves were considered the lowest class in ancient Rome. Instead of people, they were seen as commodities. In fact, people who were considered slaves had no personal rights, and they were treated as properties of their masters. They were sold, bought, and openly mistreated. This morbid and cruel fact is known by many. But have you ever wondered how middle-class families lived in ancient Rome? A recent discovery allowed us to get a glimpse of the past. Archaeologists discovered several homes in Pompeii. They belonged to middle-class families, and the findings revealed that they lived rather comfortably. One of the homes had a bedroom and a storage room on its lower floor. Unlike people in the lower class, individuals in the middle class had the luxury of owning beds and wooden chests. Hopefully, excavations in the future will reveal more about how people in Pompeii lived thousands of years ago. Number 4. Earliest known Mayan calendar in Guatemala Pyramid.
Mayan calendar.
Around the 6th century AD, the Mayan Empire reached its peak. It was one of the most renowned civilizations in Mesoamerica before the Spanish conquest in the 16th century. This civilization excelled in a lot of things, including agriculture, pottery, writing, mathematics, and art. They settled across the Yucatan Peninsula and the area now known as Guatemala. Archaeologists have already managed to discover a lot of things about this empire, but recently they uncovered one of the most impressive artifacts left behind by the Maya, their oldest known calendar. The Mayan calendar was one of the renowned systems used in pre-Columbian Mesoamerica. It was among the many methods people at the time used to track time and the movement of the heavens. The oldest Mayan calendar was discovered in a pyramid in Guatemala. It possibly dated back to around 100 BCE, but there's a chance that it's much older. Unlike the Gregorian calendar, which is the system that we use today, the Mayan calendar had no months. Instead, it relied on the movement of the planets, the sun, and the moon. Days are represented by glyphs, and they're numbered from 1 to 13. Yes, unlike us who fear the number 13, it was considered significant for them. Dates were something like 8 star, 9 jade, and so on. Overall, the Maya had a writing system that consisted of about 800 glyphs, so telling the time and day at the time was a little harder than how we do it now. Even so, their system was incredibly astounding, as it was one that gave importance to their beliefs and rituals. Number 3. Mysterious sarcophagi beneath the Notre Dame Cathedral. On April 15, 2019, a terrible disaster occurred in Paris, France. That day, a fire broke out beneath the roof of one of the most iconic buildings in the country, Notre Dame. Shortly after the fire was extinguished, restorations immediately began. But while the centuries-old cathedral was being restored and reconstructed, astonishing discoveries began to reveal themselves. 2 lead sarcophagi were recovered from an ancient graveyard beneath the cathedral, and for years, experts couldn't do anything but make an educated guess about the identity of the people inlaid in them. It wasn't until 2022 that archaeologists released a comprehensive description of the entombed. One of them was a priest named Antoine de la Porte. He died at the age of 83 years old in 1710. Certainly, a priest that age was worthy enough to be buried beneath the iconic cathedral. Additional examinations revealed more about the life of the priest. When he was alive, Laporte amassed a lot of money.
I know all of y'all been thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Anybody who's been watching me for a little minute now or recently thinking the same thing I'm thinking. What would have happened if something like this happened to the Vatican? What all will we discover, or what will be uncovered?
Financed the cathedral's choir, and based on his remains, he rarely saw the need to stand up. It was surprising that the man managed to live until his early 80s despite his sedentary lifestyle. What's more, his big toe showed signs of gout, an inflammatory disease caused by indulgence in food, extreme drinking, and lack of exercise. The second sarcophagus, however, belonged to a nobleman who died of a chronic illness. Number 2. Prehistoric movies. Have you ever wondered when exactly did mankind begin to try and create movies and other forms of art and entertainment? Recently, archaeologists announced something that shocked people around the world. People in the prehistoric period tried to create their very own movies, but they're probably far from what you're imagining right now. In 1866, archaeologists discovered 50 limestone engraved stones, all known as plaquettes. It wasn't until years later that we realized exactly what they were meant to be. These stones were supposed to be a form of portable art. Between 23,000 and 14,000 years ago, early hunter-gatherers carved these animal representations into stones. Some of the stones depicted animals, including chamois, red deer, horses, ibex, and more. After examining them thoroughly, researchers noticed something strange about them. The stones showed signs of being frequently exposed to fire. Now, this wasn't supposed to be the case. It was then that they realized that the heat damage was because the stones were deliberately exposed to fire. This was so that the engravings on them would be more visible. Not only that, but the flickering fire would also make the lines appear as if they were in motion. How cool is that? And now, it's time for today's topic. What scientists just discovered at the Grand Canyon terrified the whole world. Carved by the Colorado River in Arizona, United States, is the Grand Canyon. This steep canyon is about 270 miles long and about 18 miles at its widest. Throughout the years, our ever-changing planet revealed several of its secrets. It's common knowledge that for the last 1,000 years, Native Americans relied on the canyon's blessings. Many natives used the caves and crevices along the canyons as holy sites and places for worship and rituals.
What y'all think is in there?
That's why when this box was hoisted out of the water running through the Grand Canyon, many were intrigued by its contents. People believed that the box contained...
Or should we just leave well enough alone and not open it? They probably have by now, but at the time, what would you be thinking?
The remains of a Native American that once inhabited the Grand Canyon, and people feared that it would unleash a curse upon the world. When the tomb of Tutankhamun was discovered, the entire world watched with bated breath. Many knew about the curse of the pharaohs, and they knew that disturbing the tomb of one of ancient Egypt's former rulers would unleash a deadly fate upon those who dared. Many refused to believe that this curse was true, but some are adamant that was real. Perhaps this is the reason why many were hesitant to reveal what was inside the box. But do you think such curses are real? As always, comment down below with the hashtag.
I don't have an answer for that because I don't know. I just know that I would have probably wanted to put some distance between me and that box. Seriously.
Today's topic, and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 1. Ancient snacks and animal bones. East of the Roman Forum is a massive stone structure that's considered to be one of the most visited places at the height of the Roman Empire, the Colosseum. Between 70 to 72 AD, Emperor Vespasian of the Flavian dynasty commissioned people to build the structure. In AD 80, Vespasian's son Titus had the privilege of opening the structure that his father started. When it was finished, the Colosseum was about 620 by 513 feet. This is the place where people in Rome used to indulge and watch the bloodiest and most intense battles. In its prime, the Grand Amphitheater could easily hold more than 50,000 spectators. But as the Roman Empire's influence and power decreased, the structure fell into a state of decay. But in 2022, researchers discovered some pretty amazing things inside the Colosseum. While examining the sewers and passageways in the area, they discovered that the Romans had the habit of leaving their snacks behind. After a year-long study around the area, they discovered traces of nuts, meats, cherries, grapes, blackberries, peaches, and even olives. What's astounding is the fact that all of them can be traced back to 1,900 years ago. While people in the modern era indulge in popcorn, people at the time snacked on these finger foods while watching gladiators fight. Not only did they find ancient snacks, but they also discovered the remains of numerous animals from the Roman era. They discovered the remains of lions, bears, dogs, and even rodents. We still haven't completely excavated the entire Colosseum, and there will surely be a lot more to discover in the area. Which of these discoveries piqued your curiosity the most? Let me know about it in the comments down below. If you know of any other archaeological or space discoveries that we've missed, feel free to share them in the comments as well. Also,
yeah, I ain't saying you gotta believe in certain things and stuff like that, man. But like I said, that box pulling up out of the Grand Canyon, man. And some of y'all watch the movies that deal with and talk about curses and different things from times back then. I ain't saying whether or not I believe or not, but I'm putting distance in between that, me and that box. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? But y'all get at me in the comment section though, man. a bunch of incredibly amazing discoveries, man, that are continuously made on this planet, man. And like seeing the rings made out of gold, the rarity out of that, bro. Like I said, I dug the planet up after finding that, especially when that they weren't known for that. Yeah, I'm going crazy. But y'all get at me in the comment section, man, and let me know what you thought of this video. And stick around and stay tuned till the next one I'm gone. Peace.